Hey everyone, this is David. First thing I'm going to do is just kind of explore the Photoshop interface. The first time you open it, I'm going to use, this is the template for the business card. If you look under projects, there's an attachment, a JPEG, and it's for the little business card you guys are going to be doing. So I thought I'd combine both tutorials into one, show you guys how to make this business card. When you first open Photoshop, you'll see that over here, these are all your tools that you're using in Photoshop to do different things. Over here are your palettes. Okay. Up here is your options for these different tools. So you can see by clicking on these tools, these options change. So every tool has different purposes and different options that you can do with it. On this side are all of your palettes. You're going to be using these a whole lot. Okay. So get used to having those up there. Up here is just like most other programs. File, new, open, save, print, export if you want to export as something else. Open recent, edit. This is your undo, copy, paste, fill, check spelling, always a good one. Image, different modes, adjustments. This is where you do all of your color correction. I don't spend a whole lot of time up here because everything I need to do up here is also over here. So I rarely really actually go up here to do anything. I usually kind of take care of that over here. So you have my adjustments and the swatches and the color and all that kind of stuff. So the only time is like if I accidentally get rid of one of these palettes. Let's say I have layers, I drag that out and I accidentally hit this X button and it disappears. Like, oh, where are my layers? Well, they're right here. So just layers. Okay. So I always have this kind of open. Okay, I like layers is what makes Photoshop work. You're going to learn to use multiple layers for different projects. Okay. So you can always hide that, bring it back down over here if you want. So in this project, I want you guys to just get familiar with using just the text tool, maybe some shapes that are down here, maybe some paintbrush over here. But I don't want you to go too far into it. Unless you know Photoshop really well, then just have a ball. On this assignment, the biggest thing I want you guys to start learning is layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer. Every time I do anything in any of my applications, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Flash, whichever application I'm using, I create a new layer for everything. So in this layer here, I'm going to call this background color. Okay, click off. And I'm just going to go ahead and maybe make this a solid color. Okay. So if you want to fill this, pick a certain color you might want. Let's say we're going to fill this with like a dark gray. Okay. And just pick the color that you want. Go to Edit, Fill, and hit OK. And it'll fill that with that gray color. Now you'll notice that there's still a little marching ant thing going on around this. And it's not going to let you do anything until you get rid of it. That's called a marquee. That means everything inside of this little marching ant is still active. So what I do on the keyboard is hit Control, that's for a PC, or if you're on a Mac, Command. Control, hold it down, and hit D. And that'll deselect. So let's say the next thing I want to do is maybe create some shapes. So open up my layers palette. Whoops, I didn't want to do group. This one right here. The one with a little page turned up. Double click it, and I'm going to put shapes. Okay. And come down here, there's this little amoeba looking thingy. And you can click and hold it down, and you can do rectangle, rounded, polygon, all this kind of stuff here. So if you just want to do a simple square, you can click on the square. Now, change the color. A lot of times it's easier just to change the color. So I'm going to go ahead and do like a dark red. And I click and I hold it down. And look, there's a shape. What's cool about using shapes instead of like a marquee is that it's frozen. Let's turn that on and off. There, got rid of it. Sometimes Photoshop does that. When you use a shape, it creates this cool, this is a vector layer. And the reason I like to use the shapes, this stuff down here, is that if I want to change the color of this, all I have to do is double click this little icon. And I can change the color to anything I want. So I want to make it dark green, I can make it dark green. So that's kind of one of the handy ways to create shapes in Photoshop. Some people like to use the marquee, fillet, do all sorts of kind of stuff like I did for the background. You can do it either way, but with shapes you can change the color very quickly. And I'll hit OK. Also under your shapes you have some cool stuff. You have the custom shape tool, this one right down here. And opening up the custom shape tool, you'll see, remember I was telling you the options up here? Okay, when you have this open, you're going to have this little thing called shape. And if you click and open it, look at all the cool stuff that's under it. Now if you're not seeing all this cool stuff, click on this little arrow here and hit all. And you're going to get this. Just hit OK. And what that's going to do is it's going to open up every custom shape that is built into Photoshop. So you can do a little recycle one. So we'll just do that, and we'll make sure the color's white. Okay. Whoops. I want to keep that one blue. So, like I said before, new layer. Now I've got this. I'm going to make that white, and click and drag. Okay. If I hold down the Shift button, it stays in proportion. Now I've got this cool little recycle thing going on here. You'll notice that there's this weird kind of line going around it. Don't panic. That's just telling you that this shape is active. Watch when I click the one underneath. See, it goes away. So don't panic. And then I can move this anywhere I want. This is what I like about Photoshop and the other programs, is that if you do everything on its own layer, you can move stuff around. Okay, if you're doing it all on its one layer, you wouldn't be able to do this. So, custom shape, has some cool stuff going on. You can try different ones if you want. Like we can do a plane. Plane taken off. Okay, so you can use that. I'm going to make 2 videos out of this because YouTube only allows up to 10 minutes worth of video. So I got to keep track of my time. And I've got about a minute left, so what I'll do is show you kind of the paintbrush. We'll get started on this in the next video, so this will be broken into 2 different parts. But go ahead and get your paintbrush, and you'll see this like, oh, where are my paintbrush stuff? Same thing, window, brushes. Okay, and it'll bring up all these different kind of paintbrushes. So in the next part we'll discuss some paintbrushes.